Well, as I mentioned, Eric is a product manager for AV Solutions at Blackbox. He oversees their MCX product line, which is based on SDVoE and which was the heart of this UNC install. Why don't we bring on in Eric and let's have a chat. Eric, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Hey Justin, how you doing?
I'm doing well. So tell us a little bit about what happened. How did it start when the University of North Carolina calls up and says we want to do an esports facility? What were they looking to accomplish?
Well, it was quite a laundry list of what they were looking to accomplish. There was sort of a academic aspect, a competitive aspect, a research aspect, a social aspect. So really what it boiled down to is, they wanted to renovate an old dormitory space to make a arena basically for their esports team, for the actual competitors, but they also wanted to include teaching so that competitors and professors could work with other students to learn about esports. They wanted to create a healthy esports environment, right? That's where the research comes in, and trying to sort of reduce the stigma around gaming, right? That it's bad for you, that it's unhealthy for you, and come up with new and creative ways. And the biggest part of it, or where we came in, or the MCX and the SDVoE technology comes in, is the spectator areas, right? They wanted to create a lounge. This brings students in, maybe students that have never done any kind of gaming or anything. They come in, they sit down, they watch, they learn, they interact with each other, very social aspect. And then also for small competition, they wanted to have a spectator area where they could have many screens, audio streams, bleacher style seating, basically get people in there, cheer on the team, cheer on their favorite players, and be able to see, right? Most esports, the players sitting in front of a PC rig or some kind of a console system, they're very close to the screen, they're blocking the screen from competition. So we need a way to get that video and audio out of that PC or out of that gaming console to be in front of the spectators. And we need a way to mix also, you mentioned in your introduction, systems like OBS, maybe vMix, um, to put together the camera view, right? When you got competitors with their backs to you, you can't
Okay.
see the expressions on their face, their reactions to the game. So all of this, is leads up to what the desired effect is. There's just a lot of factors going on.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, there are a lot of ways, there are a lot of different technologies that could move signals from a video game to some spectator monitors. Why is MCX and SDVoE a better choice than a different AV over IP or a matrix solution?
So there's a lot of different reasons. I think one of the first and primary in these applications is compatibility with the existing network. A lot of the folks that run these arenas are, professors. Sometimes they're teacher assistants. They're not IT people. They're not networking people. They're not AV people. So they want something that can be supported by their organization, whether it's a K through 12 or whether it's a college or university. They want something that the IT administrator can control, can form, can meet policy and stuff like that. Um, I think the second biggest thing, and it might be equally important, but limited latency or no latency, right? We have to treat this like any other sporting event. We can't have the crowd reacting to something that happened as that a competitor does seconds later, right? We need this to happen simultaneously. I think flexibility and expandability are huge. Most of these arenas are startups at this point. So, they may be deploying, 20, 30 screens, but they have hopes to grow and they have hopes to move to larger venues. So they want to be able to leverage this technology and add endpoints, sources and displays basically in a very quick turn fashion. Multi-view is somewhat important when you're doing head-to-head competitions, trying to
Oh,
reach
okay.
the finish line. So being able to create a multi-view or even be able to cast that multi-view up onto a video wall, very, very important things. And audio comes a lot into play, right? Games are not games without audio. Try playing your favorite game on mute sometime and you're like, wow, I miss the sounds. I miss the music. I miss so how do you get that? How do you bring that experience into the audience and the spectators, right? So all of these things are very, very important. Last but not least, this might be somewhat specific to UNC, but I think we've had this conversation with many, many customers, is how do we control this? And not just how do we control it, like push buttons or send commands or whatever, but how do we make it controllable by the student population, by the competitors, by the coaches? We need something really, really simple. And SDVoE or the MCX technology, leverages an API that can be easily controlled by any, external control system. And it's pretty easy to make those overlays, send those commands. You can create drag and drop or pull down list or, whatever you really want. And that resonates with the folks that are going to actually use this system. It's basically no learning curve.
So you made a beautiful segue to what I wanted to ask about next, which is control. Like, as you say, SDVoE gives a common API for all the devices, but then something has to live on top of that to be the user experience, to be the software that's providing the day-to-day control. So at UNC, what is that software or hardware combination? What is the control system?
They're using the black box control bridge. It's a 12-inch touch panel, basically, that has a custom overlay, has the UNC logo, the UNC colors, all that. And it basically has a list of sources, has a list of multi-views, and those can be dragged and dropped onto basically any of their 29 displays, whether they're column displays or whether they're in front of the spectator area.
Okay, all right, cool. Um, let's take a little more broad, general look than just UNC. These days, we know that colleges and even high schools and other K through 12 organizations are moving towards esports. So, what does it look like when they put out a request for a proposal? What do they think they're trying to accomplish, and what are they asking for?
Well, the interesting thing about that is there's very little technology in these proposals, right? These requests are all around creating an environment, creating an atmosphere. So it leads a lot. You asked the question earlier, or maybe Matt did, about integrators, and this is a great opportunity for systems integrators to go through and sort of read this environment that they want to create and start to spec in, the products and technologies and softwares, control systems, displays, and network ultimately that will make this happen. These are not traditional, what I would consider IT or AV specs. These are more about this is what we want to create, this is what we want to do with it. It's more of a purpose, for the room or the facility or the arena, less about technology.
That probably contrasts with what am I trying to say? With a more, let's say, normal RFP, meaning somebody who's saying we want some technology in a conference room. I feel like, and I've heard it on this show before from other guests, that the end customer might come in and say, I want this, and this technology. It sounds like what you're saying is when it's esports, maybe there's a new world aspect to it. They don't know the technology as well, and so they're asking for an environment. Is that what you think is going on there, or am I maybe misunderstanding a little?
No, that's exactly what's going on. You're right. When we get requests for proposal or quote for conference rooms, a lot of times they have already picked out what their camera system is going to be, what their speaker system is going to be, microphones, all this kind of stuff, because they have some kind of experience with it, and their IT staff is used to supporting certain types of devices, things they like, things they can remote control, things they can remote administrate. Esports seems to be a bit different in the fact that the folks that are setting this up don't know what technology's out there to support it. So they're not specking in. They might pick out some displays or something that fit their room or fit their design. But beyond that, what happens behind the scenes, what makes it all, makes the magic happen, so to speak, is
Mm-hmm.
generally not on the RFP.
So it sounds like then there must be a big opportunity for someone in AV, for the integrators, for the designers who do understand this stuff. What should they be doing to take advantage of the growth here?
Well, certainly learning about the technologies out there, visiting esports venues is key to understanding. This is a very different venue than a typical or traditional sports, I guess I should call it. So really understanding how people consume and connect with these competitors of these games is one of the big keys. Learning how they want to manipulate video. Every esports venue has something slightly different. You might see we want to distribute video to a bunch of screens. That's sort of a common characteristic or a common application, right? But then you have other venues that say we want to do side by side or head to head. You have venues that say we want to bring in video from every competitor. We want to mix it into what's distributed out so everybody can see a face. Audio, Dante is a buzzword in esports right now because it gives the ability to get that audio coming out of those gaming rigs or consoles onto the network, and it allows the spectators or the consumers of this to tune into individualized channels, right? Because if they would put all of the audio up there just in some cacophonous mess, nobody would be able to understand it, or it wouldn't be intelligible. Not to mention that it makes it hard to make announcements throughout, as you're commentating the esports event. So you'll see a lot of people sitting in the stands with cell phones in their hand and buds in their ears, so that they can listen to their favorite competitor, or they can listen to the head to head, or whatever it is that they want to tune into. And if they want to change, they can easily do that. They just tune into another stream, right? So those are all really key things for integrators to learn. There's also a lot of aesthetics going into esports. This is not necessarily, as a technology guy, not necessarily me, but there's the technology gets built into these aesthetics, right? They're making logos with displays, in an architectural type arrangement, neon lighting, things that move, retract into the ceiling, even lighting control, stuff like that is becoming very, very important. So a lot of the traditional skill set of the system integrator applies, and they can leverage all of that with esports designs.
Yeah, that's. I'm reminded of, seriously. Go click on that link to the Japanese esports high school, and you'll see this where aesthetics and technology meet, because it's an amazing looking facility. Because that's important, right? What do they say? You eat with your eyes first, right? I think that's true with anything. If it looks cool, then people are going to be attracted to it and want to learn more about it. I wanted to hear a little bit more about audio, because when we were chatting the other day, you inspired me to realize, oh yeah, every player in a game has a different audio perspective on the game. So what do you feed to the audience? Tell us a little bit more about, we've got 1 minute left here. Tell us a little bit more about this approach where the audience has their own channels, their own headsets. Is there silence in the room, or are they just blocking out the PA? How does that work?
Every arena has their own approach. Most arenas will take the lead competitor and they will put their audio over the channel, and then they'll do a push to talk interrupt with the commentary. However, that's only one viewpoint, right? You're watching one competitor, or maybe
Right.
if it's a head-to-head competition, two competitors. So it's becoming very commonplace to use mixing tools like the vMix and the OBS that you mentioned earlier, to pull those streams out, or maybe it's done on a digital board like a roll board or something like that, where it's sent out to the internet so that people can basically tap into that audio stream. Very much like traditional
Okay.
sports, your baseball, you have your local, for your home team, and you've got a visiting team stream so that you can listen to your local commentators. It's the same way with esports competitors. You can listen to your favorite competitors' audio. You can even, in some cases, if the game is interactive or team based, you can get their reactions from their microphone. So it's real simple. It's just like any other streaming service. You basically go into a
Okay.
website, clicking on a link and listening. And if you want to change, you just go back to another link.
Press the SAP button for Espanol. Eric, stay right there.
You got it.
We're going to have you back on for questions from the audience in the after show, and I'm going to send all of you to a fact check.